Hey guys, Cole here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video. So, with the 2x on voids coming in this weekend and the 10x chance for Madam Serris, I thought I'll make this video on the top 5 epics, which I think should be unconditionally, no questions asked, maxed out, or at least leveled up to 60 so you can use them in your account. Now, I'll give the reasoning behind this. This is a top 5 list, and it's going to be very specific. And I will explain my reasoning behind it. There's so many good void epics, which made it very difficult for me to do this kind of list. It's not going to be a ranking of 1 to 5, just the top 5, which I think personally could be game changers for an account and are absolutely worth the effort and should be maxed out at some point for your account for some use in an area or faction wars or whatever. We'll get started, of course. We've got the 10x on Madam Serris that's going to start this weekend, and she is in the list. She is in the top 5. So we'll start with her. And I just want to say that when I do these kind of lists of top 5 or top 10 or whatever, I do not base my opinion on my account, okay? Or you should base it on your account. You should see your synergy of champions and not just blindly go and max out a champion, but just understand the reasoning behind why they're in the top 5, and I'll be explaining their skills and all of that, and that's why they go to the top 5. Right, so getting started with Madam Serris. Right, she is given the 10x right now because she's got the skins that are offered. There's going to be a champion training event, no, not even event, a tournament for this skin right here, which actually is badass. Same thing with this skin. This is also really cool, although I think they just copied the same kind of you know, this thing that goes around her, almost copied it. Very cool looking skins, but that's not why she is so good. All right, the reason she is so good is basically this right here, this A3 skill, which removes all buffs, so it's not an attack, cannot well, it can be resisted, but you cannot have a weak hit when you don't even do an attack, and especially if you're a void champion. So have that in mind when you're looking at skills. So she removes all buffs from all enemies, then applies a decreased attack and a decreased defense. That is insane. And this used to be actually, I think, 3-turn duration and 5-turn cooldown, I think. Then it went to 3-turn cooldown with books. It was insane. She got kind of nerfed with this, but she still works the same, and it's still an amazing skill, fantastic for use in arena. All right, she's still used in end game arena teams. She's got a great passive which gives her a shield every time she gets a turn, up to 10% of her max HP. When attacked while under the shield, has a 35% chance of placing a fear, which is amazing. Causes the enemies some you know, some frustration. They don't lose their skills because that's not a true fear, but they still lose out on their turn, which is great. She also has an A2 which can steal 1 random buff from each target, which is great, and then place a block debuff buff on all allies for 2 turns if any buffs is stolen, which is fantastic for arena. You'll see on how handy that can be if it does happen, if the steal does happen. And it's only 50% chance though, so it's 50-50. Place a true fear debuff for 1 turn on enemies who have buffs stolen, and that's great for control. She's got an A1 attacks for an enemy, 20% chance of placing a fear debuff for 1 turn. This chance goes all the way to 45 if there's 2 or more debuffs. So great if she applies the A3 and then goes in there with the A1 skill. When she counterattacks an enemy, she can do this and go in there for a fear. That is why she gets a spot in the top 5 list. So undeniably a champion to go for when there's a 10x, especially during a 2x on voids as well, because the chances for epics are now doubled. So have that in mind as well. And let's get started with Bannerlords. I don't think I have anybody here in my list that I would say they deserve to be in the top 5. Warcaster is pretty much an old void epic that I would say he is definitely not top 5, but can be used in specific comps. And nothing out of these 4 here makes me want to say, yeah, they should be in top 5. Then we go over to the High Elves. We've got Exemplar and Andicia. Both of them have their uses. And Battle Sage, right? Battle Sage especially had her use, like maybe I want to say 1.5 years ago in arena, but not so much anymore. They don't deserve to be in the top 5. Then we go over to the Sacred Order, and that's when our next champion comes to shine. It's not going to be Inquisitor Shaman output because he's good for the hideout. No, not Lightsworn. Lightsworn is a 2019 champion. Cardinal is great and all, but it's going to be Godseeker Aniri. The reasoning why I give her a top 5 spot is because of how strong her kit is. It's insane that she has a revival which completely resets the cooldowns of the skills of a champion with a 4-turn cooldown. That is so good that it can be very handy for many situations. And she also has another revive in the sense of applying a revive on death on an ally that drops to that's about to be killed, and they basically drop to 1 health with the revive on death and they come back to life. She also boosts the healing overall of everybody that can do healing by increasing the amount of healing allies receive by 10%. That is insane, and that's a passive. She also has a great healing, heals all allies by 15% of their max HP on a 3-turn cooldown, and then it's so good when it's booked out. 3-turn cooldown, decrease the duration of all buffs on enemies and increase the duration of all buffs on allies. Works great if you've got other boosters of buffs in your team, and it actually hits hard as well. And then she also has an A1 skill attacks when enemy, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 5% of their max HP. Cannot heal this champion, that doesn't really matter. I use mine with a regeneration set and it works great. She is an absolute carry, and I had her on my first my season 1 on my free-to-play account series. You can check that out. I've got a whole playlist of all the episodes, going from, you know, beginner account all the way to actually 1 king, Ultra Nightmare Clan boss, finishing the hard Doom Tower, getting Lydia. She was the key to all of my progression, especially the early part of the progression. So definitely worthy of both the books and getting her to 60. You will be using her in one way or another. Then we check on the Barbarians. Barbarians don't really have a great amount of Void Epics, but Skytouch Shaman is a good one. Not a top 5 one though. Is a good one. She used to be even better some time ago, but now she is outshined because of the meta change and what other champions can provide to a team in terms of cleansing. Then we have a look at Ogryn Tribes, and that's where our next top 5 champion is going to be. And you might be thinking it's going to be Eurogrim. That's not really. After his nerf, he doesn't deserve a top 5 spot in my eyes, although he's still a great poisoner and support. He's not as good as a Maneater. So that's not just because Maneater is great for the clan boss. I wouldn't say he's just amazing for the clan boss. I would say that he is great overall because of his kit. Because many people don't understand that he has a fully depletion of turn meter on a 3-turn cooldown, plus filling the turn meter on the amount that the target loses. It's basically a stealing of turn meter, although it's a full depletion. So it's not 100% turn meter depletion, it's a full depletion, and then fills the turn meter. So he basically gets an extra turn with that. And then he's got an A1, which applies a decreased attack as an AoE when he crits. So you can build him like that and actually with some accuracy and benefit from both. And then we of course have the amazing A3 skill, which is the Unkillable plus block debuffs on a 5-turn cooldown, which is insane for the clan boss, but also works in arena. You can use it as a beginner on a beginner account. You can use this skill specifically to create a go second team where your Maneater will be protecting the team. If he's fast enough, he'll take a turn, protect everyone. He'll take a few hits on the Unkillable buff, and it won't really matter unless the enemy team has a way to remove the buffs. You'll be protected basically from both any debuffs like a defense down or, you know, getting killed because of that Unkillable buff. And that's why he's so good, because he's so versatile and he's key for the Ogryn Tribes faction war. So I would say he is a must-have to level up, and especially if you're looking for an easy to build clan boss team. Then we're looking at the Lizardmen. For the Voids, Basher is amazing. I would say he's a top 10, but I'm doing a top 5 list, so I won't include him. He's like a mini warlord. He can be used similarly to how a warlord would have been used. Then let's have a look at the orcs. And orcs have the next must-have, which is, of course, there's no question to ask. It's gonna be Tolf. No, it's not Tolf. It's gonna be Seer, guys. There's no reason to really go into too much depth on her. The Karma burn is what makes her so special. So if you see her pop up this weekend through the 2x chances on the Void, Epics, and Legendaries, of course, I hope you guys get Legendaries. But if you see her pop up, this is why she's so good. She basically destroys waves in all content, Doom Tower and Dungeon. She has an A2 skill which applies a weekend, plus more buffs to the team, which she benefits then from Karma Burn. And then she also has an A1, which has a chance to give her an extra turn, which is like the cherry on top of the cake, or whatever they say. So cherry on top. So that's why she's so good, right? I can't believe that you would have a top 5 list of void epics and not have a Seer. And then I think that's 4 so far. So the final one, I'm just gonna go through all the epics, but the final one is not from here. It's not gonna be Umbral Enchantress, although she's great. Paid by is also good. Skinfos, not so much. I wouldn't really include them in top 5, maybe not even in top 10. Surprisingly, Undead Hordes, by the way, doesn't even have a void epic, if you guys didn't know that. And then we come to the next void epic that will be in this list. I was contemplating on the 5th one, and I'll tell you which one I had in mind, but it's gonna be Cyliar. So at the start, I did mention that this top 5 list is about champions that you should be maxing out for usage in many areas. Cyliar is like a mini Lysandra. She has this skill which reduces turn meter by 40%. 40% is insane. On an AoE, you cannot do a weak hit on this. And she also plays a decreased speed debuff. It's insane on how good this can be for Arena. She's like a negative Lysandra. She's not as good as the legendary Lysandra, of course, but she is very much worth it to have her in that sort of position of being a turn meter manipulator. She's got an A2 skill which reduces the accuracy at a 100% chance when you book it out. And I would advise giving her a stun set if you're going to use her in content such as dungeons and Doom Tower, and you'll see on how good she is. And then she also has an AoE attack on the A1. But the real reason she's so good is because of this A3, and I do think that she deserves to be top 5. And I'll tell you which one didn't make the list exactly right now. Like Night Revenant, they do have good voids. I would say Skullcrown I was contemplating about Skullcrown, then about another one. Skullcrown is an amazing damage dealer, but I wouldn't say it's like a top 5 because damage dealers, you can get it in all sorts. So it's not like an immediate max out. She's going to be great for the Night Revenant faction. She is going to be useful, but I wouldn't say as much as I wouldn't use Skullcrown as much as I would use Cyliar. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys here. And I think it was a very close call there, and I'm happy. If we have some disagreements over in the comments, I'll wait to see that over there. And then when I looked over at the dwarves, I saw Demytha and I was like, shoot, should I have Demytha in this list? Is she really worthy of the top 5? She is amazing as a champion if you can get her to that specific speed to build a team with Demytha, but it's very difficult to get those high speeds, and there's multiple different requirements to get that amazing team with Demytha, the Mythfu, or any of the other Demytha variants that exist in terms of the clan boss. But everywhere else, she's not as good as an unkillable or block damage champion such as Maneater. So I had them two and I was weighing those two together, and Maneater was winning at all times. And it's not because Maneater can make better teams or worse teams. It's because of all the other places that you can use Maneater. And that's why I think she couldn't get into the top 5 because of this. And everyone else of the epics here are actually very solid. Especially Gala in terms of single target nukes. Ragnar can enable some specific setups. And Rookkeeper Dazdirk is underrated for sure in terms of how you can use him. And then finally, Shadowkin. Don't really have that many void epics, but they do have solid ones for specific use, especially Genbo for Arena. Oboro for, I would say, Hydra more than anything else. And Teia, this one's more of a, I think she is a Doom Tower epic, so not that easy to get. It will take a little bit of time to actually unlock her, so have that in mind. So this was my list, guys. Top 5 epics this weekend. Don't forget to summon your voids to try and get a good void epic. If you do have Madame Serris already, maybe consider not pulling when she's featured during the 10x, or if you want a second one, go for it. I'm just gonna say that I do have 2 Madame Serrises and I only use the one. Unfortunately, the other one is sitting in the vault, and I'm still wondering, why did I make another copy of her? Because I never really use the one that doesn't have the immunity set on. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.